I guess we're a curiosity-based species. We want to know our natural environment, and the moon is a pretty prominent thing in the night sky. Where it came from, I think, is everybody would. Where do the stars come from? It's a bit of a related. To understand everything that you see is what drives us. As long as man or humans had the capacity to think about their own existence, they would have tried to understand their place in the cosmos. They would have originally turned to religion or sort of supernatural reasons for our existence, and they would have believed in all kinds of things to explain. Eventually we want to talk about the moon, but I mean that would be the first thing that they would, where did that come from? How did it get here? And so from our perspective, I think it's just really a fundamental question that humans have asked for as long as they can basically pose questions, is where did we come from? Why are we here? Maybe we can't answer the questions why we're here, but how we're here or how we got here. That's part of what we do. And the meteorites are the tools that we basically are using to try and look back into this evolution of critical time when the planets would have been forming. Everybody can understand the importance of having an age for something. And my role in the simplest form is to take rocks, they could be from Earth or they could be from meteorites or from the moon, and try and figure out or determine how old the rock is. And so the idea is that if you're going to understand the geology of the moon, then you need to know what the different ages of the rocks are. You need these timestamps to be able to put the rocks in some kind of an order. And so my own personal contribution or interest is in trying to establish the timing of the different samples that we have from the moon, both the meteorites and on the Apollo program. So in order for us to get any information from the samples, the way that we work here is we actually have to take a sample and we have to dissolve it. So we're taking a sample that's been around for 4.36 billion years, sitting on the moon. Someone has brought it back, and then our job is to dissolve it. So it's gone after we're done, or at least the piece that we get. And so you can't get too attached to the samples, otherwise you'd be a collector and you would just have them lying in your cabinet and do nothing with them except look at them. So I think we have a pretty good model, a working model for how the moon would have evolved. The standard hypothesis is that there had to have been some kind of a gigantic collision between two bodies, and from this so-called giant impact, then there would have been the emergence of a core of material that would have had a debris disk around it, very similar to the debris disk that would be around the sun, but on kind of a smaller scale. And from this debris disk around the proto-Earth, let's call it, then you would begin to coagulate these particles, and from this the moon would eventually grow out of this disk of debris that came from this giant impact. So one of the fundamental questions then is, where did the two planets, these two proto-planets, where did they come from? What was their relationship to each other?
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
The way we would try and address this problem is we would look and try and fingerprint the composition of the rocks that we get from the moon and those from the Earth to see how similar or dissimilar they might be. So one of the things we're looking at in lunar meteorites and the Apollo samples is we're trying to look at the affinity or the similarity between the Earth and the moon from its isotopic perspective. And we found out, to our surprise not too long ago, that they're identical. The fact that the Earth and the moon are so similar means that the Earth, the proto-bodies that collided to form the Earth-Moon system, they apparently came from the same region of this protoplanetary disk where these planets were growing, and they must have basically grown at the same time and probably reached approximately the same size before something made them unstable in their orbits, and finally there was this gigantic collision. So if you were to take a telescope and just look up, or even binoculars, you will see predominantly a white area with some patches of darker areas. The light areas is the very first crust that would have formed, and it would have been of this, it's called an orthosite. It's mainly made of one mineral called plagioclase, and that's about 4.36 billion years ago. We dated that a couple of years ago, well, a decade ago I guess now, and this gives us some constraint about the timing of the Earth-Moon collision that would have occurred. So 4.36 billion years ago, that's when that original crust would have formed. And then the darker regions are these basaltic layers. So it's a bit like the rocks which are coming out of volcanic vents in Hawaii, for example. And they would have come up a couple of 100 million years later after this original crust would form. So they are essentially coming out of the mantle of the moon, and basically like volcanoes. And then the whole thing is being hit by all these different meteorites that are coming in and impacting with it. And that gives you all the craters that you see. And the crater density in the light and orthositic regions are higher than the darker ones because the darker lavas are younger. If the moon did not exist, I think our Earth could be essentially similar to what we have in the sense of the solid Earth. If it had been the same size as it is today, but what would be missing again would be the tidal effect. And this has been fundamental probably for the evolution of life. So you could say that if it weren't for the existence of the moon, that life on Earth would have evolved in a very different way, and we could then ask ourselves whether we would be here having this conversation or not.